So I guess one of the strangest things about people is reality itself. How we construct it, how we view it, the perspective that is the lens to how we see it, the angle we see it from. And it takes a lot of thought. And the thing is, the person that said, you know, what's in motion tends to stay in motion is true for people too, because it's kind of like I want to say it's like a time warp effect. It's like you're caught in that channel where you don't really question as much. You're just letting it take you rather than you navigating. It's a weird effect of people, like especially for me. You got this racetrack that you're supposed to, you're obviously not going to end in first, and once you do, everybody's going to want to be in first. So, I mean, that you're talking the Shark Tank. I can only imagine that reality, but guess what? I can imagine it. Now, imagining my interaction in the Shark Tank, that's I would learn quick, but oh man, that instantaneous of a transformation, that's not something a person's meant to go through. Not unless they're like psychopath, where they don't really feel that neglect or that need for emotional connection to people in order for themselves to feel real. These people don't need that. They get dopamine from intense adrenaline fueled, you know, could lose my life any moment sort of thing. And so, yeah, that's weird. But for reality itself, that the perspective, the lens we look at it from is changed by dopamine, especially by, visual stimulation. You see these ads online, that's what they're intended for, is to rewire your, I'll say kind of micro rewire your brain, and it just kind of sets it on this track that it's only going to go down one track. So then they're able to make you kind of change tracks for what you might have been doing some research for work, and then next thing you see, this half naked cartoon character, and for for a lot of people, it just completely changes the track of their mind, and now they're thinking about their secretary that stayed over. But the thing about reality is that it can be kind of overridden by dopamine, and it reconstructs, with tunnel vision sometimes, or, people are about manipulation. It's not so much, I think, causing pain in the way of manipulation, but just it's, people love games. The mind loves games. And to like to a Karen, they're just playing their own game. I mean, why does it seem like their old name Karen? You know, I've known quite a few, and it's like Karens are always distinguishable just by their name alone. I love to say, oh, that Karen's different, and then I find out, oh, no, she ain't. No, she Karen. And so it's like this reality created by dopamine. Each person gets dopamine from different sources. Some are, a lot of them are collectors. People are collectors. They get dopamine from collecting and, knowing its history. And but the thing is, those people were just like us, lived in a harder time though. I mean, So what are we doing? Really, we're praising the dead because the dead can't change what they are, so they become heroes in our eyes when really they were just people just like us. So our reality creates this sort of library based on our programming, and it's like before vaccines, you can imagine that people didn't really care about much. They cared about probably staying away from other people that they could contract things from, and they were probably, worried about their kids, and it would have been a very strange place compared to now. And when I realized that's what a lot of people were avoiding years ago, when I realized they were avoiding them perspectives of reality, it was like, how to me it was like, how can you not imagine what it was like for our ancestors? Without these certain things, it's like I've always been able to do that. Like, it's not to say that my perspective is going to be 100% right about one specific person, but you can, kind of watch something like Titanic and see that the role that Jack was, well, we all know that that was just prettied up for the movie, but the real life version of it would have been a lot different. Probably more of a scrapper. We probably wouldn't have looked at him as the anti-hero, or the hero. We would have looked at him as probably a dirtbag. Like, well, why is this person in love with this person? That's what we would have said if they wouldn't have prettied it up. And that's the thing about, the way our reality changes. It changes our perspective. It's insane. It's like people that do drugs, and it's like, for the most part, they do the drugs because they're trying to escape reality. But now they're connecting with other people that are trying to escape from reality, and it creates like a safe haven for them because they're letting go of the pain, they're letting go of the thinking, they're just becoming one. So it's strange how our reality can kind of rearrange itself in each individual person's eyes, and how their understanding of their own reality can actually be their own worst enemy. And sometimes they'll even see it and refuse to admit it. And we're deer standing right in front of the semi truck, knowing it's not going to stop for us.